What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here on You Think It. And this next guy, I've known him for a long time, and I'm very interested to have the conversation on the transition from him and my brother coming down on spring break from the University of Virginia down to Miami, sleeping on my couch, to now being a T-ball dad, father, husband. I always find those transitions. I don't know if I ever would have imagined you and I spending the amount of time on T-ball fields 15 years ago when we were running around Miami on spring break. But without
Shoot,
further ado, Chris Long, dude, appreciate you joining us.
Greg, what up, man? I think, dude, I think that was more like 20
Was
years
it
ago.
20?
I,
It
I,
was. It was 20
Look
years
at
ago.
you
Oh my
trying to be like,
gosh.
yeah, we're not that old, bro. I think that was like,
So
yeah,
bad.
I remember coming down there and just overrunning your house. So I appreciate you, man. You were great.
Yeah.
You were a great host.
Well, we were in school, and you and my brother and whoever else you guys could muster up we're on like a full week of spring break and going out, and like we're doing like morning lifts, and you guys are at our house still. It was the month of that, like March and April in
Yeah,
Miami. You got every college in America's spring break, so it was a fun but difficult time to actually try to go to school.
yeah, that was the big leagues for us. That was definitely a lot different than Charlottesville. So we tried to be on our best behavior, but you're a great host once
It's so
again, dude.
fun,
You
man.
you and the boys. Honestly, I got a bunch of guys I still talk to from your team just because we came down there and bugged y'all.
No,
So
we had a
Coconut
blast, man.
Grove,
It was
not
a
a bad spot.
decent spot. We had a couple fun nights. Um, but dude, obviously, so much you've accomplished, so much Super Bowls. Second overall pick, long career in the league. I mean, you really accomplished it all. But we're not going to dive into a lot of that today. Like, I want to talk to you as a dad, as a father. This youth sports journey, obviously, a lot about your upbringing. Your father, Howie, who's a colleague of mine at Fox, and like might be the nicest man on the planet, at least as a colleague. We'll talk about what he was like as a sports dad. But I want to start there. Like, obviously, your brothers, you've gotten to know Kyle. Obviously, he had a great career in the league as well, kind of a dual spark kid growing up. Growing up with your dad was probably like one of the first like true superstars, NFL player crossover. Just give us a little idea of what your sports upbringing was like growing up as a kid.
Well, Greg, I mean, well, the three of us, myself, Howie, who's the youngest, and Kyle, who's the middle, but the big guy. And we all had very different kind of athletic careers early. We all had different, toolboxes, so to speak. Kyle's was just contained a hammer. He's he's 6'7", 330 pounds, just giant, and everything he picked up, Kyle was just. He's one of those great athletes where, like, he goes plays badminton. He's incredible at that. Like, you go play horse. Like, he's got a really natural looking jump shot. Obviously, he was a great baseball player, drafted by the White Sox, went to Florida State to play baseball. Howie was a lacrosse player, really skilled athlete. I was probably the least skilled of the three as far as like just picking up stuff early. I was like a string bean, kind of like grown into my body kind of thing. And I wasn't very good at football, honestly, probably until, yeah, gosh, the end of middle school. And then, even when it got to playing varsity, I remember, state championship my freshman year, sitting there and, damn near catching a cramp. I was standing still so long I didn't touch the field. So it wasn't like a thing where it just took off for me immediately, and not even in my college career. It was like, my first 2 years I was a good player. I was a 4-star recruit, like all that stuff. But, I didn't really, it wasn't until probably spring game my second year where I realized like, oh, I might have a shot. Like, I just had that kind of day. And I'm sure you remember this when the older guys kind of look at you and they're like, damn, you're going to be pretty good. Like, it's just kind of the way I went about things growing up. Was open-minded, didn't know what sport I was going to play, loved baseball, wanted to play that like in college. Then I got to started lifting weights and couldn't hit the curveball. So, I didn't really, it wasn't like a thing where I picked up football at nine years old and just ran with it. But the one thing my dad tried to do was instill the value of hard work, which obviously your dad did as well. You being a coach's son, me being a, NFL player's son, it's just part of the deal. And there was a point when I was 13 and I was a soft kid, a lazy kid, all that stuff at like 11 years old. If you went to my baseball game, I'd be picking daisies in the outfield instead of like paying attention to the batter. And talk about full circle moments. My son let a grounder go through his legs in the playoffs last year. He's 10 years old. And I was like, come on, dude. It happened to me. But my dad at 13 hired a basketball coach to run me and like, get me in shape. But more than anything, like it was to break me mentally, I think. And that was his thing, was like he didn't care about anything skill wise. Like we didn't go out in the backyard and work pass rush moves at 12. We weren't doing 1,000 jump shots, or he definitely took me to fall ball and people threw BP and that stuff and that sort of thing. But for me, with my dad, it was all about hard work. And I'll never forget like working with Ben D'Alessandro, who's his basketball coach now around here. He just told him, I think, to run me until I cried and keep running me. And things kind of changed that day. I hate to like boil it down to one day, but like, and I know it's not necessarily a healthy dad strategy now. Like, hey, just take your kid to a basketball coach and have him run suicides until he cries. But that was like dad's way of doing things. And if he was going to make sure I was going to be anything, it was going to be a hard worker. And that stuck with me, honestly, because I had talent and I was able to make it to the next level. But like, this from playing me, like I was talented, but I wasn't like Julius Peppers, bro. Like I had to work really hard, just like you, to sustain a long pro career. And that foundation really, really mattered for me. So that was what it was, man. It was all about instilling hard work and doing things the right way, from my dad growing up.
Well, I'm sitting here like having flashbacks of not only playing against you in college, but also then obviously playing against you in the league. And like, you were the guy that going into the game, it was like, if you let up for one split second on this guy, he's going to try to bury you in the ground. He's going to sack you. He's going to make the tackle. He's going to make the sack. Like, if you don't match his effort. So like every time I think of you, and yes, you were a damn near top overall pick, like you had the talent and the physical, but like,
Yeah.
I just remember preparing to play you was like, if you don't match his effort on every single play. So it's hard for me to believe it took that. Like, you always just assume that effort, that consistency, that work ethic, you're just like born with. So to
Yeah.
hear that you guys cultivated that, I think is a great lesson for a lot of the parents out there right there that are like, listen, I don't know if my kid has it right now. And they're going through the whole, nature versus nurture. Can you bore with it? And here you are saying you can think of an exact day where what for what a lot of your career was pinned on was just relentless effort, relentless hard work, the way you approached your career. Like, I think that's pretty encouraging for a lot of families and a lot of parents out there that maybe have a young kid with some talent, but hasn't really shown that level of grit yet.
Yeah, like, listen, I think it's a 360 deal, and it's how you raise your kid in the household, like, as well. I was never certainly I wasn't like a disrespectful kid or, like I was a firstborn. I had all those firstborn qualities, but I wasn't necessarily at 10, 11 years old, like driven in a football sense. And I certainly wasn't driven to the degree that I was 5 years later. And so to your point, like, there is an opportunity if you see your kids not exhibiting like A+ work habits to like change that. And for my dad, I think the big thing was he didn't just make that a football thing. I'm using that story to illustrate the way that my career took off, but he was that guy as a dad around the house. Like if I had a push broom in my hand, the back deck was gonna be, spotless. If I was mulching, it had to be, the job had to be finished. If I was mowing the lawn, I was gonna be out there as long as it took. It's just instilling those habits in your kids in every situation. I think some people think about sports like, oh, if I want my son to be great in a sport or I want him to bust his ass, I got to focus on the sport. You got to focus on everything. And that's just kind of what I try to do with my kids now to keep them grounded, is kind of raise them like they don't have a safety net. They definitely have a safety net. Our kids do, your kids do. We worked hard to provide that safety net. My dad worked hard to provide that safety net. He didn't have that safety net. He grew up, bouncing around different houses and not having a sure thing down the line like we did. So how do you teach like a kid who has a lot to play or work like they're not going to be fine if it doesn't work out? I think that's the battle that especially like us fight, like second generation kids. And that's why like I took a lot of pride in my brother. I know I feels the same way about it. Like being able to get to the league. You do see some second generation kids now in the NFL. And I think most of them will tell you like, hey, there's a lot of pressure on you. And, for a lot of guys, like you didn't have to. We both play with a lot of guys that didn't have a choice. And so how can you get your kid to work like he doesn't have a choice, even if he does? I don't think it's just a football thing. But boy, am I happy he did that because I did take a lot of pride in playing hard. And that's one of the reasons why when you see guys like make decisions on the field with effort and you're like, I just can't relate to that. I just don't understand it. As an analyst now, and you're doing it too, I'm like, I'm trying to put myself in somebody's shoes who doesn't finish a play or worse yet, loafs in a big situation. I'm not just talking about one guy. I know there's somebody that's popping into our heads the last month. But like, it's just so hard for me to figure because it takes so much effort to get where we went.
No doubt. Is Howie, was he like, what? I don't want to move on to you as a dad.
Yeah.
But I think our listeners would love to know, like, they see your dad obviously on TV every day. They know his career. He's this big, good looking, strong, big ass guy. Like, when you guys are driving home at 12 years old and you loafed and you didn't get back on defense or you struck out and you threw your shit, like, is Howie wearing you out? Like, is he getting on you? Is it like a soft talk? Like, what approach did he have as like a sports dad?
Honestly, his approach, again, it comes back to the household. Like, where, like, if I was going to get it, I was going to get it because I was disrespectful to my mom, because I was, lazy at home, didn't do something correctly, was rude to I remember one time I was rude to a girl at school and, like I was 11 years old and I was playing for like the Elks. It was like a little league team here where actually Chris Miller, my little league coach, still coaches. He called me this fall about my 9-year-old son. And it was like a big deal to be on the Elks, and I was an 11-year-old, and I was rude to a girl at school. And my dad, I came home, he's like, "You're suspended from the Elks for like a month or something like that." It's like in the meat of the season. So he just didn't mess around. He didn't, like, when it was time to come down on me, it was punishment. There was no like threat of punishment. And then I remember one time I got grounded for like months. And that's when there's a lot of adults listening to this podcast. That's when I found out what Jack Daniels was. He came home and it was obvious that I had been partaken, but I was grounded for like 6 months. Like when the hammer came down.
Yeah.
I remember like getting kicked off a baseball trip and having to ride back 8 hours, me and the 3 other kids that got in trouble. And we're sitting on the bench and they're, my one friend's like, "Oh man, my dad's gonna be so mad when I get home." I'm like, "Dude, my dad's 6'5", 270 and has a flat top."
He's a badass
he's
dude.
waiting at the door, bro. Like,
And
so
he's a badass dude.
yeah, so I was afraid. I had a healthy fear of my dad, which is natural. And but it's also useful because like he kept me straight. And it was honestly, when it got to playing football, he just had to be honest in sports. And it persisted through my pro career. And I'm sure your dad was like this for you, where it's like when you walk out of the tunnel after a game and everybody's kissing your ass, but you didn't play well and you know it because maybe you caught a touchdown or something, he's going to be the one to say, "Hey, you could do that thing better," or I thought you could have showed more effort in the third quarter. Like, were you gassed? Like, and he doesn't need to yell. He just needs to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do with my kids is just be really honest about everything they're doing. That means don't withhold praise, like worrying about pumping their ego up, and don't worry about, knocking them down and telling them, "Hey, that wasn't good enough from an effort standpoint," or "You threw a tantrum." Like, my son plays flag football. He's 6 years old. And I swear he's going to be like your boy, Christian McCaffrey, dude. I call him little CMC. He's got like the CMC gene. I never had that. Like he's cutting in the open field. Like, it's crazy. But naturally he wants the ball. I heard him the first game, like asking the coach, like, hey, when am I getting the ball again? I walked over in the middle of the game. I said, you ask that question again, you're not going to play for this team anymore. He's 6 years old. Some people might think that's harsh, but I was also at a flag football game last week where I saw a kid screaming uncontrollably at the refs, at his coaches, at the other team. The guy was throwing tantrums the whole game, and I'm like, hey, it wouldn't take much to nip that in the bud, would it?
Of course.
You just have to be honest with your kid, and you can be your kid's best friend and be the heavy too. And that's kind of the way it was with me and my dad.
This episode of You Think is brought to you by RCX Sports. RCX was founded to break down barriers to access and expand participation in youth sports, so every kid has an opportunity to play. To learn more, we spoke with RCX's CEO and founder, Izell Reese.
What was the inspiration? Like, where did RCX come from? What was the problem in the youth sports world that you guys are trying to address? And what has been that impact that you guys are making?
Yeah. So RCX, we launched, if you will, in 2018. When we launched, we were already doing some things with the NBA and NFL. I was doing camps at the Super Bowl, actually, for working with the NFL. But I'm a big fan, and you appreciate this. If you get a play in the playbook and you can run this play and it continues to work, you don't change it. So as far as what it came to league play, creating events, it's a watch, rinse, and repeat model for us. And so when we think NBA and WNBA, so that was a twofer there, it's league play. It's the same model. It's the same concept. NHL street hockey. We got with NHL, and initially we were saying, hey, ice, and let's do 3-on-3. We kind of got into think tank together. And then, we came up with ball hockey, street hockey. And so it's given opportunities, across the board. MLB, we work with Pitch, Hit, and Run, a long-standing program. And so, we've been blessed to oversee that as well. Major League Soccer, and working with them. And now in this pilot phase with USTA of getting more kids involved with tennis. And so we're doing some unique things there. We're putting kids in jerseys. We're putting multiple kids on the court because my kids play tennis, and it is a very expensive sport. And a lot of times, that's the first barrier that is there for kids. So we've built an affordable program and also giving kids jerseys and so forth so they feel like they're in a team environment, and just getting back to what all these sports are, which is fun. And every kid should be exposed to it, and also the ability to have multi-sport. So the thing that I like most about it is, when we have this opportunity to work across all these different pro leagues and now governing bodies as well, when we all get in a room together and everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody believes in multi-sport. Everybody believes every kid should have a great experience and opportunity at the rec level and not be priced out. It shouldn't come at a premium price point for kids that have a phenomenal experience in youth sports. If they want more and other things, and I know it's a lot of things out there, but every kid in every community deserves that opportunity. And so, it's things that we were accustomed to when we grew up, right? And how do we get back to the basics of giving kids those opportunities? What really took things off and went to another level for us, and which I'm excited and honored that we've had the opportunity to do it, overseeing NFL flag football. We're well over 800,000 kids participating in NFL flag, and it has truly become something greater than I anticipated, but good to get more kids involved in the game at all ages and continue to evolve NFL flag and what it is today.
For more from our interview and to learn how to find or start a team, visit youth.inc/RCX Sports.
It's just a matter of just being the truth, right? Just telling the truth. When you're good, we'll be your biggest cheerleader. But when it's not good enough and you fall short, and mostly it's through effort, it's through your routine. Like, my kids are getting a little bit older now. I got 2 7th grade twins and an 8th grade boy. So, and all the things we talk about is like, you don't have to, if you're not the fastest kid, you're not the fastest kid. If you're not the biggest kid, you're not the biggest kid. Like, some of those things are outside of your control, but you can control what you do Monday through Friday before your Saturday tournament.
That's right.
You can control what you eat, how you sleep, get your homework done. Like, you can control all the easy stuff. And then if you don't like the result, we're not going to sit here and say it's okay. Like, if you didn't put the work in and you didn't get the result, let's talk about it. Let's figure out, let's connect the cause and effect. We're not going to sit here. I had this thing when we coached the kids team, like, not everything's okay. Like, we can't, we're not in the part where, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's not okay. Like, it's not okay. Now, did you just make a legitimate, the ball went between your legs or you dropped it. Like, that's going to happen. Effort. You missed practice the day before the game. Why do you expect to have a good game? Like, trying to get them to understand that while not everything is in their control, a lot of things are in their control. And let's put all of our focus and effort into that, because we're so worried about the outcome. We're so worried about how many hits we got or how many catches we had or how many sacks we made. And I think it's so easy now, especially raising these kids in today's world with highlight reel culture. Like, it's very easy to lose track of the journey. It's very easy to lose track of teaching the process, because everybody coaches to the scoreboard. Everybody coaches to the highlight reel. They coach to the Instagram clip. And I think it's a big reason why youth sports has gone off the rails a little bit, is because we do ignore everything we've talked about up to this point, everything you just laid out. I think for a lot of kids around the country, that approach has really been lost.
I would agree with you. And I got to be honest, like, for somebody listening or, who might have a kid that you think could play college football or in the pros or, get a scholarship for some Olympic sport, whatever it is. These very things, and I'm sure this resonates with you, but like, it's not just gonna be how your kid plays youth sports. It's gonna be how your kid does everything as an adult, and you only get one shot at it. And, people can change as they get older, and people can mature in their 20s. We've had teammates who, show up and they're super talented, but like they don't give a whatever. And, sometimes they change. More often than not, though, like, people are who they are in their 20s and 30s and that sort of thing. And so, like, if it weren't for the things that the process-oriented, the process-centering mindset, I don't think I'd have been able to get through 8 years in St. Louis. And I think what I'm talking about is like, we're 1 in 15,
man.
2 in 14, 7 and 9, 6 and 10. And so, like, having won in the NFL at the tail end of my career, I look back and I'm like, how'd you do that? Well, I did it because all I cared about was, when somebody turns on the tape, do I give great effort? Do I control what I can control? I don't know how many times I heard my dad say, as a pro, control what you can control. And it's the same things we're talking about that you're saying to your 12, 13-year-old son or daughter. And when you are an adult and mom and dad can't help you in the real world, you have to have those things instilled in you. So you only get one shot at it. I'm going to err on the side of my kid being tough mentally and hardworking.
Yeah, we're gonna be tough as hell, physically, mentally, and you're gonna compete your ass off in everything that you do. You're going to have a great attitude. You're going to treat your teammates good. Like, all that stuff is so teachable. We can't control if they're 6'7". We can't control if they run 4'5". There was good. You know what's funny?
Being in touch. Speaking of being in touch, dude.
First of all, really well done. My younger son, I can't even say the number 6 without him yelling 7 at me.
It's off the board. He's like, how tall
funny?
is that Darnell Washington? I'm like, he's 6'8".
Yeah, I lie now. I just lie. I just make up things. But you know what's so funny about it is, before this became like a thing, I don't know if I realized how many times we all actually say, I don't know, like 6 or 7. Like, it's such a common phrase saying, like, I don't get it, but I hear it all the time. But now I find myself like mid-sentence being like, yeah, it's like 6 to... it's
please
9.
Don't, but just please don't be. I don't want to be watching a game. And by the way, you're the best. We love watching you call games, dude. You're just. I've told you this, but you're incredible at it.
Appreciate it.
And so is my brother Kyle. By the way, I think
he's
gonna be up there with you one day. I'm hoping. But if I catch you doing the 6'7" thing, I'm gonna turn the TV off.
You're not gonna catch me. I don't do gimmicks.
Okay, no, you don't. That's why I left.
I don't do gimmicks. That was an inadvertent. All right, I want to dive into you.
Yeah.
Not on the ride home, not as a dad, like on the field. If you're coaching t-ball or flag football, or one day if you're coaching at the high school, like, what kind of dad coach are you?
I'm the guy who, I'm looking for the lonely kid, the kid that's like a little bit, reserved or whatever, and trying to hype him up, trying to joke with him, trying to get, it's a lot like being a leader on a team is like, just social glue, keep things together. I'm the guy in baseball that, like, I don't want the lineup, although by the end of the year I was weighing in on that thing. I don't need to be first base coach. I'm the dugout guy.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, I know. They pull you in.
Everyone says that. I laugh because everyone says that, oh, that's not going to be me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It's
We'll see.
addictive though.
We'll see.
And then like, so we were, my boy, one of my best friends, Kevin, he's like a coach. His dad's a coach, like, you know, like your dad, like Southside Chicago, legendary coach. He coaches football here at my high school, and he roped me into coaching our son's baseball team with him. And, you know, at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm not, you know, yada, yada, yada. But the minute you get in there, it just reminds you that, like, there's nothing better than working with kids for this very reason, because you're like, you can make a real difference. You can change the trajectory of somebody's life. And it's not necessarily because you taught them to be a better baseball player. Like, I was a pretty good baseball player, but what do I know? It's really about, like, how you handle situations. So, like, you know, for me this year, there was a kid, you know, he's 8 years old and he's not giving great effort, and he's kind of, you know, huffing and puffing and that sort of thing. Like, so how do I handle that? Because, like, how would I want somebody to talk to my son about that if they were my coach, if they were my son's coach, you know? So it's a delicate thing. Like, but, you know, I had a conversation with the kid, very brief, and just kind of said, hey, like, you're better than that. Like, you're definitely better than that. Not coming out of the way of, hey, that's not good enough. But, like, hey, set your standard higher, because you are great. You can be great. Like, this isn't you. Do I mean that? I don't know. Like, I just met the kid. He's 8 years old. But the point is
Is he
like,
great? Is he great?
chances are you're better than that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like, I enjoy connecting with kids that are struggling, you know, and trying to lift them up. I enjoy being the guy that, like, can calmly and in a socially intelligent way be very honest with the kid about effort or attitude. And I enjoy being the guy that runs with the kids when we make them run the hill at
it's
the end of
best.
practice, just trying to beat them up the hill, you know, hyping kids up when they make big plays. Like, what I see in kids is you see yourself. You see, you know, the youngest, most vulnerable version of you that needed a pat on the shoulder and needed to pick me up, or maybe needed to be told, hey, that's not good enough. But for whatever reason, somebody at home's not doing that. And it's not me thinking, hell, I know more than the dad, it's just we're athletes. So I have an unfair advantage when it comes to that. And whether it's baseball or soccer or like whatever, it's a mindset thing. And so really, when you're coaching youth sports, you are teaching a mindset. You know, you're teaching a life skill. Like how my kid swings a baseball bat, there's still time for that, you know, luckily. But it's a deal where, you know, I can teach my kid a lot about how to use this, and I can teach the other kids that too. So I just love being the dugout guy, man. But when it comes to coaching football, I love coaching young D linemen. I love coaching high school age D linemen and college D linemen, because I have such respect for what it takes to be great at that level and at that position. And when I'm with those guys, it makes me feel like I'm still playing, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes you feel like you're still in the building. So I love doing that. I mix it up. Certainly we both have like primary careers that we're busy with, but anytime I get a chance to do something on the side, I really love coaching.
Well, I always joke, like, my full-time job is youth sports dad, and then my like part-time job is calling games for Fox. Like, that's always like that's what it feels like. It's what it feels like most of the time, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. So this past year, the past couple of years, we coached the kids football team, and now they're getting older. So this past year, my oldest son's in 8th grade. We did their middle school team, and when the kids were young, especially when I was still playing, like, we would always run after practice, and I'd run with them, and you know, you feel like King Kong because you're out in front of the hill or whatever you're doing. But now, like, I've obviously dropped off a good amount, and these kids are getting big. They're 14 years old, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Some of these kids are like men, you know, and we're running after practice, and I'm no longer even close to the front of the pack. And two of my assistant coaches are Jonathan Stewart and Luke Kuechly. They're still like rocked up. You know, Stu could lose 50% of his burst and he'd still beat everyone by a mile.
That's crazy.
Luke's like a damn Navy SEAL. That dude is ripped up. And so, like, and not only am I not beating the kids, I'm not even close to competing with my assistant coaches. So it's a very humbling experience nowadays.
Just don't do your Achilles, bro.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop. It's my greatest fear in my life.
Me too. That's why, like, I'll catch
fear.
myself playing too hard in the backyard, and I'll be
can't.
like, hold on, bro. Hold on.
I'm not even going to say the word, but if I ever did that, you can just take me out back. It's over. I'm done. I don't have time right now for a year long. I don't have time for a year-long rehab.
Amputate.
I've been on enough scooters in my day. But dude, it's so funny you say, like, working with the kids as they get older, it really changes. You know, like we've seen it now. I haven't gotten to the high school age yet. We do a little stuff with the high school kids, you know, here and there because our school is K through 12, so it kind of blends together. But we're almost there to the high school. But like thinking back to just when they were super little, all the things you're talking about that you really, it's not even about the sport, right? Like the sport is the easy part. Teaching a kid how to make a layup, teaching a kid how to dribble with his left hand, or that's like the easy part of it all. But as you get older and it gets more and more competitive, it gets more and more real. This past year, doing 7th and 8th grade, we have some 8th graders that are like real football players. Like we can teach, you know, I only coach the O-line and the D-line. So I'm with you. Like there's nothing better than that group of kids, right? The pride they take. And dude, you're practicing setting edges and we're practicing get off and we're striking the sled. And like you take a step back and you're like, all right, we're playing real football now. Like this feels different. These kids are like men playing real ball. There is nothing better, man. Wait till when your kids get older, like wait till you're doing it with your boys at an old enough age that you can play real sport. There is nothing
that's
better.
The time where it's going to get interesting for me. And I don't know how you feel about this, but like you're obviously, you know, a legend and everything, and your kids walk around and they're Greg Olson's son. And, you know, I went through that with my dad. My kids are going to go through it in this town with me and that sort of thing. And, you know, I kind of want to be cognizant of like, my dad was good about this where he kind of coached the team, but then like on game day, he'd be back in the shadows because he'd be a little bit of a distraction maybe, or that sort of thing. And, there's a lot of pressure on our kids, man, you know, so I'm always cognizant of like, hey, when it comes time for that, you're going to have to teach your kids and I'm going to have to teach my kids all the skills we're talking about, but then another skill on top of that, which is dealing with the pressure and the expectations of being your son or my son. So that's a very unique responsibility that we have.
We've had a lot of honest conversations exactly like that, and more so as they've gotten older. Like when they were little, I don't even think they realized what was going on, but I'm very honest with them. I'm like, listen, man, in today's world, whether we like it or not, we can debate, you know, the reality is there's a lot of people that are showing up to games that want you to fail.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to see you succeed, and you just need to lean into it. You can't run away from it. It can't paralyze you. It can't stress you out. Like, lean into it, man, because guess what? It's not going anywhere. I said there are very few people in this world that genuinely want to see you succeed. And your mom and dad are at the top of the list, and hopefully your coaches, and hopefully as you play for more and more people, like those people all have your best interests at heart. But the reality is there might be people on your own team. There might be people in your own school, certainly on rival schools and rival teams around the area. Like, that's just the way of the world, man. And you either run from it or you run towards it. And we really have a lot of conversations in our house about we are not going to shy away from it. If there's a target on your back, my back, people don't like the way I coach, people don't like the way we play, that's okay. We don't have to be for everybody, but I'll tell you what, man, we are not going to let it change how you compete, how you work, whatever talent level you end up having, who cares? When they watch you play, they should never walk out of the gym, the field, and say, that dude works his ass off and that guy plays his ass off.
Well,
if they say those two things, that's it.
You should be motivated to prove just that, which is like, hey, I don't know what kind of player you're going to become, but nobody's going to walk out of there and be like, man, that guy's soft, or that guy.
Or he's only playing because his dad's part of the team. He's only
or he doesn't care, or he's not hungry. You know, because that's the truth is like, and we touched on this earlier, there's a lot of hungry people playing football, man, like that make it to the top. And so that's the one thing that I don't think people understand is the hunger inside an NFL building to succeed, the pure willpower that so many guys that we play with, they didn't have choices. And so, we're going to raise kids that luckily, and all our teammates are going to raise kids that luckily do have choices, but you got to play like you have no choice. And so, so I think that's cool, man. But also, I think, there's something there for every kid, which is like, hey, when our kids take the field, or when I took the field growing up, there was a lot of people and there were a lot of eyes on you. And it felt like, hey, whether people rooting for you, against you, that sort of thing, that you're a big deal. Not to say like, oh, I'm a big deal, but like everybody's paying attention. And this is the truth in today's day and age too. No one's thinking about you. They are for like a minute of their day.
No doubt.
When you've got something going where you're in your own head, or you think, hey, like my problem is the center of the universe. If you're in an NFL locker room, you know, we've been there where for 6 years of my career, I didn't miss a game, played through injuries, the whole thing, got hurt, got on IR, was walking around the building thinking everybody hates me. Like my teammates, they love me. I'm like a captain. These are all my boys, man. But all of a sudden,
but you put it, you plant that seed.
You plant that seed in your head, and the pressure puts you in a spot where I'm walking through the hallway, like everybody's thinking about I should be coming back sooner. Everybody's thinking about I'm not rehabbing hard enough. Everybody's thinking I'm not producing. And the truth is, when people walk by you, they might be thinking about what time do meetings start, or
They got their own problems.
or hey, coach is pissed at me. I jumped out of my gap last week, or like what's going to happen in this meeting because I missed the block. Like or I have some problem at home, or I'm in my own head. Everybody's got their own problems. And so as much pressure as you might feel, whether you're our kids or somebody else or just a regular kid, like at the end of the day, I don't mean this in a way to like knock you down. I mean it to build you up. Like nobody cares. It's your problems everything's relative. You have tiny problems in the grand scheme of things. And people are thinking about you even on your worst day. You know, the people that are the main characters on Twitter that have like a terrible day, they tweet the wrong thing, they say the wrong thing. You might say something totally uncharacteristic, screw up on live television. For an hour, you're trending. Nobody remembers. Most of the people you know never saw the thing. Most of the people you know are not talking about the thing. So just get over it and move the F on.
Oh, it's so true. It feels like all eyes are on you and center, but it's so true, man. Like your problems are not nearly as big in the real world as they are in your head.
No, everybody's thinking about something else. They think about, oh, look at that stupid, that Greg Olson did today. And then they're like, what do I want for lunch? But you're sitting there thinking about what everybody's thinking about, what I said or the play I didn't make, or, and I think there's a lesson there for athletes growing up, because this day and age, there's always a conversation about, are these athletes tougher or softer than the last generation? I think yes and no. I think they're tougher in some ways because they have to deal with the scrutiny that we didn't. It's literally like we went from like, there's a national broadcast of our game to, and you might not be in the market to see a Rams game, to now every play is on the internet. There's a discourse about it. Everybody's got social media. Any slip up in the media, so these guys are tougher in a sense. We definitely were tougher physically because we had to actually go to training camp and that sort of thing. And there was inside run and now everything's all RPO, fast to the flat. We used to fit counter and power all day. But these guys are tougher in a way because they're scrutinized at a level that we never were.
Before we get back to the episode, let's continue our conversation with RCX Sports founder and CEO, Izell Reese, to hear how they are working with professional leagues to elevate the youth sports experience.
These clubs and these teams of, Pick Your Sport, NBA does a phenomenal job as well. They've been wanting to do more. And so having this conduit and having us in the middle to kind of be an extension of them, but this is all we focus on, right? So, because at the end of the day, the pro leagues and their respective teams, they want to do more, but they also have a professional team or a professional club that they got to run, and they got to go get a Super Bowl or go win a championship, right? So, so having us in the middle to kind of be, this is all I'm thinking about. My Super Bowl is youth sports. My Super Bowl is, seeing these kids and them getting that opportunity. So now you got somebody who has expertise, but then also the league operator. So I'm gonna go to the other spectrum. That local park and rec, that local Y, those different type of groups, independent groups. Those are what we call, and we say that local league operator, where those people that are those boots on the ground, those coaches that are volunteering those times. There's officials that are involved. And getting behind them and supporting them. And so that's what we spend a lot of emphasis on, in supporting those 2,000 plus league operators creating efficiencies for them, giving them tools and resources, truly being that one-stop shop for them and supporting them and servicing them so that they can deliver that great experience for those kids within those respective communities. So, and that's kind of how, again, we're connecting all the dots, if you will. And it's worked extremely well. Still a lot of runway and continue to grow and accelerate it and enhance it. And I think it's a constant push to get more kids back in sport, because at the end of the day, there's still a lion's share of kids that are not playing sport. Yep. How do we get them back to to being involved and engaged with sport? Youth sports isn't going anywhere. But we do know that there aren't as many kids playing youth sports as it used to be. And some of it is because of barriers, some of it because, a variety of things. And so I don't see any slowing down, because, I mean, you have this opportunity to continue to enhance and pulling kids back in. And every parent wants their kids on a local given Saturday in their local community to participate, and it also to be a better and great experience. And so I don't see this slowing down at all. I mean, I know we got our foot on the gas, and we're going to continue to do it, and it's working. And so there's also a lot of demand for, from other sports that have, inquired and asked, hey, how can we be on your platform and what you're doing? We see what's happening, but we want to make sure that, we can continue to deliver and dot the I's and cross the T's and make it a good experience for the sports that we're involved in now.
For more from our interview and to learn how to find or start a team, visit youth.inc/RCX-sports.
I want to ask you another thing before I let you go. I want to ask you, knowing what lies ahead, it's a very crazy world than what we recognize, right? It's not going to be what you grew up doing when you played for the Elks and you played with your buddies and then you went to the basketball gym and then those same kids in the fall got ready for football. Like, those days, at least where we live, those days are over.
Yeah.
How are you guys going to handle the pressure to have your kids just pick a sport young, the pressure of your kids to fly around the world playing travel sports? Have you guys had any discussions about, because it's coming down the line. Your oldest is what, 9?
Yeah.
9?
Yeah.
So you're getting there. I mean, it's happening now at 10, 12 years old. Have you guys had any thoughts about how you want to approach it?
We talk all the time about this because my wife's an athlete, Jersey gal, and played from Morristown, so south, but lacrosse in college and all that stuff. And she's the one who's on my kids' asses. She's the sports dad. I'm the chill sports dad compared to her. She's the quintessential sports dad.
I like that.
And she's trying to get him into 2 sports at once and all this stuff. And, she's anything my son asks to do, she's yeah, we'll do that. You want to play AU basketball on top of flag football this fall? And I'm the one yo, pump your brakes. Let's focus on one thing and pour everything we can into that one thing, one season at a time. Now, when I was in high school, I'd lift for football after basketball practice. I'd be in the gym till 8, 9 o'clock. But we're 9 years old. So my thing is let's bust our ass at what we're doing and play as many sports as we can. If you want to do one practice of fall ball, for baseball every week, that's no big deal. But to do 2 travel sports at once, hey, it's hard on the kid. It's also hard on dad in the summer because that's when AAU basketball is. My son said, hey, I want to play AAU basketball. And I'm damn, my recreational time on the river is going to be cut in half as a result of my son wanting to be LeBron James.
I got 2 boys playing summer travel baseball when school ball ends every summer and traveling to all over the world. And then a daughter that plays travel basketball and does track in the summer. So we have these dreams of our summers being at the beach and going on the boat and having actually a summer.
Ain't no summer.
We haven't had a summer in 5 years.
Yeah, and that's what they don't tell you. But here's what I will say.
But I'm the asshole out there actually coaching the team, making the schedule. So I'm part of the plan. I made the schedule. I booked the trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Atlanta.
Ooh, that's
I'm the
rough.
one that's booking the tournament, so it's probably my own fault.
Myrtle Beach, that's rough. Well, I'll say this. I grew up, played 4 sports, played football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse. Went back and forth between baseball and lacrosse because me and the baseball coach didn't get along. And I'm really glad I played all those sports. Like, I think it made me a better athlete as a whole. Being able to play all those sports, I think specialization is a little bit overboard. That's not a hot take in today's day and age. I think a lot of people are onto that whole thing. I just think, like, when you make a commitment, and it's kind of like me as an adult, I don't say no. I don't know if you have this problem where you say yes
I'm
to
the
everything.
worst.
I'm
the worst.
freaking worst, dude. And it's taken me 40 years to figure that out. But, like, if you say yes to everything and you half-ass half of it, it ain't doing anybody any good. You think you're helping them, but, they're waiting on the request that you said yes to for 3 weeks, that sort of thing. It's the same thing with a kid when they say yes to too many different sports or too many different engagements. Eventually, your wife and you are going to be sitting there like, hey, he's got a birthday party tomorrow. Like, does he need to go to that practice? Like, well, you're the one who signed him up for that sport. It looks to me like he made a commitment. And so as inconvenient as it is now, he's not going to be able to go to his buddy's birthday party, or, there's a conflict with this basketball and this baseball game. Like, that's why I like to keep things kind of like clean, where it's like, hey, let's commit to one thing, one season at a time. And if there's a way to do one and like a quarter of another sport, like, take BP every week, stay on your baseball, then let's do that. But, like, what I don't like is when all of a sudden we have to make decisions and my son's not at every practice or every game. And that kind of reinforces a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of mentality that I just want him to be all in, one thing at a time. And I do think it's valuable to play multiple sports.
Oh, I do too. I'm a big believer in all of that. It is very hard to play multiple sports at the same time. We went through it this year with the boys trying to keep up with fall baseball. And obviously we're in the thick of like a real football season. We got practice every day after school, and then they're racing from football to try to go get their, throw their bullpens, or they miss a bullpen this week and then next weekend they pitch and their arm hurts. And it's just like this never ending cycle. But when you figure it out and you figure out how to not do it, let me know.
Yeah.
Because
you're doing it.
We haven't figured it out yet either.
You're raising some Shohei Ohtanis.
No, we're just trying to survive, man. We're just trying to survive.
But
awesome. Chris, man, it's just so cool to just see all you've accomplished. We can go on about your charitable work with Water Boys, and obviously you got your own pod like that. I've been on with you, I think, a handful of times, 2 or 3 times at least.
Yeah. It's we're getting old. It's starting to run together. I don't know how many years we've been out.
But dude, man, you've accomplished so much. It's been so cool to obviously get to know you in college as a friend of my brother Chris, teammates at Virginia, and just see everything you've accomplished, as you reminded us, over 20 years. I don't know how I feel about that, but dude, man, it's just been so cool to get to know your family, your work with your dad, obviously gotten to know Kyle now, and super cool, man. Just wish nothing but the best for you. And when you figure out all this parenting stuff and raising them, send over some advice, because we sure as hell don't have it figured out.
Dude, we'll compare some notes, and the respect is mutual, bro. I've always appreciated you, and as I said, you are just acing it at this in this juncture of your professional career, bro. We love listening to you call games, man. You're nobody better.
Appreciate you, man. Good seeing you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Before we wrap up, let's close out our conversation with our friends at RCX Sports. I spoke to a father and daughter who are living the youth sports experience daily, to hear how RCX has helped them.
I get excited to know that they'll have memories of doing some of these things. They'll know that their parents were able to take them out to go play these sports. They'll make friends all over the city. With the way our city is now, with not really community schools, because everything's charter, you have like people spread all over the city. So it gives them a chance to meet new kids and have those experiences. And so that's something that brings joy to my heart, knowing that they're going to have a childhood that's full of joy, that's full of fun, and they get a chance to play all these different sports and see what they like. So that's been really, really exciting.
It feels like I'm a pro, and it feels like I'm actually playing for like the team I'm wearing, and it feels like I'm in the big league.
They've done a great job of going all over the city, connecting with different schools, connecting with different communities, and creating a cause that allows all families to get a chance to be a part of playing, of getting a chance to be in the sports and to be a part of these teams. And so they've done a great job of just connecting with different community members, getting the word out. I think you can tell by what's going on with 18th Ward that they're just doing an amazing job. They're not all trying to do just one sport. They can do many sports. So all those things create an environment that creates a great place for kids to learn and grow.
Having fun is very important because what's the point of playing a game if you're not having any fun?
For more from our interview and to learn how to find or start a team, visit youth.inc/RCX Sports.